My business, which publishes the hotspotting.com.au website, has a pretty simple philosophy in the pursuit of success. If we make our customers happy and or satisfied, we'll be successful. The idea is to be helpful to people trying to achieve an objective, for example, finding a good location to buy a property, to achieve a good rental return and capital growth over time. The philosophy is, if we're helpful to people, they'll become our customers and the business will be successful. And in my experience, most businesses have approaches which are similar. If they provide good products and service, their customers will be happy and the business will be successful. But news media is very different. The business model pursued by most forms of mainstream media is that they can make money by making people feel bad. Media organisations set out to profit fundamentally by alarming people. The media picture of the world is one of wars, climate disasters, mass murder and tragedy. And when it comes to real estate issues, their approach is rather similar. They figure that if they startle us, alarm us, cause us fear and consternation, we'll click on stuff. Then they'll be able to sell advertising based around all those fear-inspired clicks. The motivation is not to help us, nor to inform us. And so, when it comes to housing affordability, media has no desire to be helpful to anybody. The objective is to tell everyone, yet again, that home ownership is pretty much impossible. And they do it aided and abetted by attention-seeking research companies by being essentially dishonest. Media outlets could, if they wanted, be truly helpful to young Australians contemplating home ownership for the first time. They can provide information on where to find affordable homes, how to get finance to buy homes, the government grants and concessions that can help, and the alternatives to houses on land, which are cheaper options. But by and large, they don't do any of that. What they do instead is present a package of dishonest or irrelevant information which creates the inevitable conclusion. You're doomed to a lifetime of renting, or it'll take you 15 years to save a deposit, so why bother? Now, media's full of this stuff. And it doesn't matter how many times media outlets run the home ownership is out of reach headline, journalists figure that we have an insatiable appetite for being given this same sad message over and over again, almost daily. Now, being bashed relentlessly if the same depressing story is bad enough, but the worst of it is that media outlets are being dishonest with us. What they're presenting is an irrelevant collection of statistics which arrives at a preconceived conclusion that home ownership is out of reach, shock, horror, outrage. The formula they use is this: the median price in our biggest and most expensive cities. Always houses and never the cheaper alternatives like units and townhouses, and always a 20% deposit. If you use that set of criteria, you'll probably always come up with a negative conclusion. But all of that is irrelevant information. First home buyers don't purchase at the median price in big cities. They buy in the lower price ranges. Many opt for attached dwellings rather than detached houses because it suits their lifestyle preferences, and of course they're often less than half the price of houses in the same area or even less. And you don't need a 20% deposit to get into the market. The length of time it takes to save a 20% deposit to buy a house in Sydney at the median price, which currently is over $1 million, is utterly irrelevant to first home buyers everywhere, including those who live in Sydney. Now, I know a young couple in their 20s who are able to save a deposit to buy a good apartment on the Sunshine Coast in less than a year. They were both working and they lived off one wage and saved the other. An apartment suits their desire for a low maintenance lifestyle and they can walk to the beach. Now, if they'd listened to the news media, they wouldn't have even tried. Achieving home ownership for the first time has never been easy, and it's not easy now, but it is possible. Now, each year, Hotspotting collaborates with the nation's biggest comparison website, CanStar, to produce a national report which highlights affordable locations across the nation and provides core information about how you can buy an affordable property and what it costs. And that's what you do when you start with the motivation of being helpful, rather than seeking to generate clickbait by startling people with erroneous and irrelevant information.